Adam Bates and John Inslee, our technical team behind the scenes, just making things happen.
Gosh, back fast.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I was about to say was that Qwerty Qwerterson, on the subject of whether it's a must-win, he agrees with me. He sees it as a must-win game. I see what you're saying is that we've got 10 games left, but then we've got 9 games left, and then we've got 8 games left. You know, at some point we have 2 games left and we need to get 6 points, and then we're in real trouble.
No, I know. I can see both sides, but I'm just trying to think of the positive in case we don't win. To be honest, I don't want to be sat there tomorrow night and miserable. But it being that game in hand, I think the biggest thing is obviously the way the world is with the COVID stuff at the moment. We need, from that point of view, if the league was suddenly to get cancelled because COVID kicks off in a major way again. I mean, it's never gone away, but you know what I mean. It kicks off in a major way. You need to be out the bottom 3. So if we play all 10 games, I don't see it as a must-win. But to correct myself, if the season was to end up getting cancelled and we don't win that game, that is a disaster.
Yeah, well, let's focus on what we do know, and that's the Villa squad and the guys that are available for tomorrow. And one of those guys that we've already mentioned for tomorrow night is John McGinn. He returns to be in contention. I just wanted to pick your brains, Dan. How much of an influence can John McGinn have? Can he be the kind of saviour of this kind of failing season?
It kind of feels a little bit like when Jack came back last season and then we went on and we won 10 games in a row with Jack in the side. He gave us a real boost. Now, I'm not for 1 minute sitting here and saying that we're going to win 10 games in a row because John McGinn's come back. I would say that's virtually impossible in the Premier League. But it does give us a lift because the guy is so unique. I mean, if Jack doesn't play, he's irreplaceable because there's no one like him. And really, if you think about it, it's exactly the same with John McGinn as well. There's no one in the squad that can match his style. I'm not knocking Danny Drinkwater here. Obviously, things haven't gone great for him since he's come to Villa. But he was brought in as McGinn's short-term replacement, wasn't he? But they're completely different players. They're nothing like each other. So to me, I mean, Dean Smith couldn't have got anyone in of John McGinn's ability or with John McGinn's traits. It just wouldn't have happened. But having him back, however fit he is, it's going to be a boost. I mean, it might be that he doesn't start every game, but we've talked about the substitutions already. Even having someone like John McGinn to call on to bring off from the bench, it'll just be a massive boost because at times, as I say, I think Dean Smith would have looked at his bench and thought there's not a lot there that can change it. Even with John McGinn playing, it gives you then another option on the bench that would have been starting before that we may be able to bring on. So it is a big thing. He's infectious. He's someone that the fans love. He's someone that the players that play with him love. He's someone that all the coaching staff love. So it's naturally going to give us a massive, massive boost. We're just needing to come back and hit the ground running. Yeah,
Phil Weeks says in the comments, Jack and the meatball are treasures. And that was one of the questions I had for you. How does McGinn coming back affect Jack's position and his just kind of style of play? Does he have even more freedom maybe than he's already having?
I mean, it's going to take the heat off him a little bit. Teams can't double mark and mark Jack as intently because there's another player that can run with the ball, carry the ball, shoot from distance, get himself in the box and score goals. There's someone else there that can cause problems. Now, don't get me wrong, we've got some other good players, but from a goal scoring point of view and getting on the end of things, I actually think McGinn and Jack, possibly Connor as well, the midfielders are the ones that you feel like they might pop up with a goal. Another big one for us now is that Samatta's had time to settle in. I know he's obviously not been able to play games, but he'll have had time to acclimatise to the country a little bit more. This period that we've had in training with the players working on things together, it's unusual to get that. And I know every team's going to be getting exactly the same, but you know what I mean? I feel we needed that a lot more than other teams. John McGinn was talking about Douglas Luiz and talking about how he couldn't even understand English at the start of the season and that now the language barrier is going to be less of a problem. And sometimes I think as fans in general, we're quite guilty of overlooking things like that and how important they are. Now, I don't think for 1 minute Dean Smith did the business that he would have preferred in the summer. I think a lot of the players were alternatives to players that Dean Smith would have liked to sign, but players don't often hit the ground running when they're coming from weaker leagues. It just doesn't happen. And just this extended period off now and the extended period in training, working together, it could help the likes of Douglas Luiz, Nakamba, Trezeguet. They could come back and be refreshed and be completely different players. And again, that's what we need.
I don't, and I feel like you're talking to me directly when you talk about like that with Wesley, for example, somebody that hasn't given Wesley much. Well, I gave him a chance in my opinion, but you know he will have had.
You gave him a good 5 minutes. You gave him a great 5 minutes.
He will have had all of those issues, though. I agree with you in terms of the language barrier, coming from a weaker league and having to settle in a team that didn't know each other particularly well. The problem with Wesley is that I think he's in Brazil, right? So he's
not going to play.
And no, of course he's not going to play. But in terms of getting to know the squad or learning the language better and that kind of thing, he's also missing out on that a little bit. But you're right in terms of turning it back to Douglas Luiz and these players, and even the British players and the European players getting to know each other a bit better and having that time to gel a bit more. Obviously, we talked about Sheffield United knowing each other inside out, and maybe that levels the playing field just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we needed this break more than anyone. Obviously, it was enforced, but I think potentially we're one of the real winners from this break, because the way it was feeling at the time was the only way was down. It kind of felt like we were getting worse, didn't it? We'd lost 5 in a row, I think, before COVID hit, and we were in big trouble. I remember that Leicester game. I was genuinely worried. I was fearful. I was thinking we're not going to get out of this at all. But what this break has done is given us a chance to reset. I know Dean Smith had Zoom calls with a lot of the players. They've reviewed footage together, gone through things that can be improved. And as I keep saying, stuff like that is rare, and we had more to work on than most. So you just hope it's given everyone a boost and it's kind of reset everyone and giving them the message of this is what we need to do to stay up. Because Dean Smith, I know, likes to play good football. He won't have been a fan of what he was seeing from Aston Villa before that break. Ultimately, it comes down to him to sort it out. And I don't know, I feel like from what I'm hearing and what we're seeing in interviews and what I'm hearing from behind the scenes now, it does feel like there's a little bit of feel good has come back. The players feel like they're more united and getting to know each other and getting together now, and have got the message of what they need to do to keep Aston Villa in the Premier League. And fingers crossed all this comes to fruition.
Absolutely. I'm seeing a few score predictions coming through on the comments here. D5's going to put it out there now, lads. 3-1 up the Villa. There's a few more above as well. 2-1 Villa. There's a lot of confidence there. One area we need to talk about, Dan, is the goalkeeper position. Obviously, we've had Reina come out and say he's not going to return to Villa next season. And so Jed Steer's also kind of returned to full fitness now as well. Obviously, we've got Orjan Nyland as well. Easy for me to say. Who's your preference for being in goal? Who do you think is going to start tomorrow?
I'll work in reverse. I mean, I'm almost 100% certain that it will be Pepe Reina. He's the gloveman. He's the one that they brought in January to replace Heaton. I'm almost 100% sure it will be him playing. He's been a world-class goalkeeper. He's had a great career. You can't argue with anything he's done. And there's things that he does very, very well. And from a leadership point of view, the other two that are fit at the moment, I don't think that they can match him. But again, I keep harping on about before the break, he had a couple of dodgy games. I mean, what he was doing in the Leicester game, steaming off his line, I have no idea. I've watched that back a few times and I still, for the life of me, can't work out what was running through his head. It was a complete rush of blood. If it was me picking the team, which I'm sure nobody that's listening and watching wants, I would pick Nyland. I think he's been our best goalkeeper this season, with the exception of Heaton. When he's played, I've felt more secure. I think simply for me, he keeps the ball out of the net better than Reina does at the moment. I think it's a big ask for Jed Steer. Yeah, and it's a massive thing for a goalkeeper, as you know. I think Jed Steer's been very hard done by this season because he had a great year last year. Without him, Villa aren't a Premier League team, but he just gets injured so much. And as soon as he came in, he got injured again. From his point of view, Heaton being injured, that would have mean a massive run in the team for him, but it hasn't happened because he hasn't managed to stay fit himself. For me, I pick Nyland because I think he distributes the ball well. Perhaps he hasn't got as much confidence in himself as Pepe Reina, but for me, as I say, he keeps the ball out of the net better than Reina, and that's what I want. You look back to that League Cup run, Nyland was phenomenal. The quarter-final, the semi-final, the final, the guy made world-class saves, and I think he deserves the shirt, and that's what it comes down to for me. I think he deserves it.
Listen, I don't disagree with you there. I think he's done everything right. He cut a bit of a frustrated figure, I think, when he was performing well in the cup and still not getting his dues in the league. And but like you say, Pepe Reina seems to have the gloves until the end of the season. It looks like one of the questions that came in was will we see Heaton again? But I believe Heaton's out for the rest of the season. He's been deregistered, and we won't see him again.
I believe we couldn't register him again. I think there was talk at times that the Premier League were going to change the rules, but he had a bad injury anyway, a really bad injury. It's going to take some time to recover from that. I believe his recovery is going well, but it is going to take some time to recover from that, and that's why it's a big ask with Steer as well. I mean, he hasn't really played any consecutive football for a year now, Jed Steer, and as I say, I feel really sorry for him because I think he's a great back. He was a great backup to Heaton. To know you had him waiting in the wings if anything happened to Heaton was a big thing. But then the goalkeeping department, to be fair, we're pretty well stocked, aren't we? I mean, not many teams would be able to lose that amount of goalkeepers and come out with their third choice in Neeland at the time and be confident in him. But I'm full of confidence in him. I'd like him to have a bit more belief in himself, but Reina will 100% play, in my opinion. I don't think he'll be taken out.
I just saw a comment from our old mucker, Chris Dolan, as well, who says we all know it's going to be Reina in sticks. So that seems the consensus view.
Dolan knows.
Dolan knows. Yeah, be good to get him back on one of these.
Yeah, for sure. He'll be coming. Don't worry.
We should just say, if you're joining us live, you're tuning into the Luke Live Lounge, proudly sponsored by Luke 1977. It's good to have you with us. Please leave us a comment. I can see them coming in, and I'll try and get to them as much as I can. Couple of the match facts from tomorrow night's game, or for tomorrow night's game, I should say. Sheffield United looking to secure their first league double over Aston Villa since the 1965-66 campaign. Dan, we asked for a couple of score predictions from the guys watching at home. What do you think the score is going to be tomorrow?
I'm going to go 2-2. Cagey draw, 2-2. I think what I want it to be like, I mean, this probably isn't going to be what happens at all, but what I'd like it to be like is, do you remember the Burnley game on New Year's Day when we suddenly came in with like a new plan and we took Burnley by surprise? I'd like there to be this new formation or something that we've really been working on that comes and shocks Sheffield United and we cause them all kinds of problems. But I can't remember if I've already said this in this, but I think Sheffield United is as hard a fixture as you can ask for. If I'm being honest, they're so well drilled. They play really good football. Chris Wilder's done a phenomenal job. We went to Bramall Lane last season and they absolutely ripped us to shreds, didn't they? I mean, that was a different Aston Villa. That was Steve Bruce's Aston Villa, but they just battered us. We couldn't live with them. And I really like what he's done. They've got that set formation. Everyone knows what they're going to do, but it just seems to work for them. But teams don't seem to know how to stop it, and it's very innovative. They play two up front. I mean, Billy Sharp was on fire before the season, got curtailed. He was sticking the ball in the net what felt like every week. McBurney scored goals this season. They've got Fleck, Lundstrom's had a good season. They've brought, I think his name's Berge in from Belgium as well, who's a good player. They've got good players. They're hard to break down as well. The goalkeeper felt like he was on fire as well. So I honestly think it's as tough a game as you can ask for. And I don't even know what you think about this, but I don't want us to be first. I don't want us to be the first game back. It feels like the whole world's going to be watching. And you could just end up taking a tonking in front of the world. I mean, that's how we ended things going into this break, embarrassing ourselves in front of the country. I just wish someone else was first.
Yeah, that's what Smith said as well, wasn't it? That the whole world will be watching, and he's right. I kind of, it's an interesting one because I was just about to ask you: do you think there's any players there that will benefit from not having the crowd? Because we've seen that sometimes the crowd gets on players' backs, and there's a lot of pressure on that. There's still that massive pressure. I guess it's just not quite as obvious for the players, in the stadium that they're going to have that different feel about it. It's going to be weird. And from watching some of the Bundesliga, especially the first couple of games, there was that rustiness. And for me, I think it's all about how fast the teams start, and I think everybody has the chance to start fast. Essentially, it's all about the preparation. Villa could, like you say, come out with a new look, a renewed hunger to get the result, and Jack and John could just go off and be fantastic. Samatta settles in. There's every chance that we can kind of take Sheffield United by surprise. But being first, there is a pressure on that, and I think there'll be so many games on TV, over the next 10 games anyway. There's going to be a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure being a professional footballer. Hopefully it won't matter so much to these elite athletes, but the only way we'll find out is tomorrow night.
The thing is, I can't see Sheffield United being anything other than drilled. Chris Wilder will say to them, go out and start fast, put them under pressure. Yeah. And I can see them doing that. Now, the Villa before the break would struggle with that. There's no doubt about it. We were very, very frail defensively, very, very frail. Now, we need to have eradicated that now. Otherwise, Sheffield United starting that, nothing would have changed from before the break. They'll cause us trouble. I think it was interesting that Dean spoke about training ground players. So we've got too many training ground players. So El Ghazi's one that's been mentioned. Now, he's someone who, generally for me, he's not top of my list that I would give stick to, El Ghazi. I think he's been a good signing for us, and I think you look at his stats and his output this season, I think he's been relatively productive. But Jack spoke about him in training, being like unstoppable, everything he hits goes in. Does the crowd play a part? I can't say, because I'm not one of those people that's been on the pitch. I mean, we've played in front of an empty Villa Park, and I can't really remember how I felt at that point. But do you know what I mean? I don't know what the pressure is like for an elite athlete, a professional footballer, but I do that the men's side is very, very important. So the Villa crowd, when things are going well, it's a great crowd to play in front of. That 10-game run last season, the place was bouncing every single week. Everyone was loving it. Everyone was singing off the same hymn sheet. You looked forward to going every week. Just when things start to turn and things start to go badly, and this isn't everyone in the Villa crowd. In fact, it's an absolute minority. But that minority is very, very loud, and they can be quite unkind to the players and put them under massive pressure. We've seen things over the years where players have been ironically cheered when they're going off the pitch. When people pass backwards, there's the groans. Then if people go forwards long and it doesn't make it, there's still the groans. So what are you supposed to do in some ways? So the Villa Park crowd can be very, very demanding. So in some ways, it could help some players, but I think what we will see is we'll know which players the crowd affects after the first few games.
Yeah, I agree. It's really nice in the comments to see so many people highlighting different players as the key man. You see McGinn, you see Grealish, Samatta, Mings is in there. El Ghazi can be a goal threat as well. We're seeing, like, the Villa fans are highlighting different guys. Obviously, we've talked about the goalkeeper, which is hugely important as well. So, it's not like, I think sometimes we talk about relying on Grealish, and obviously we do, no doubt about that. He's talismanic, but the fact that people can pull up different players to say, "Oh, he could get us a goal," or he could be a game changer. That fills me with a bit more confidence than when we started this video.
The thing is, though, it's good in the main in the tough times. We've witnessed times where we haven't looked like scoring, and we've looked like shipping every time the other team comes forward. We've never quite got that balance right this season. When the attack's been on it, we've managed to ship goals, and if the defence has been on it, we seem to have struggled to score. We just need to find that balance. That was something that we haven't done all season. It was something that we got really right towards the end of the championship. The defence was solid. I mean, I can't overstate this season what I miss. I think Twanzabe's been. If we could have just got him in on loan, because his season's been wasted at Man U effectively. I know he's had injuries, but he isn't going to get a game. Not getting him was so huge for the football club. I think with him and Mings playing next to each other, and I like Engels, I like Konsa. I think they're good players. Konsa in particular, I think will grow into a good footballer. For me, he's a little bit raw at the moment for a team that's under pressure all the time defensively. You do feel like Mings is struggling to hold it together on his own at times. And again, I think that's another reason why Reina gets picked. I think it's that experience, because there isn't much experience of the Premier League in that side. But we've got to get it right now, because set pieces, for example, all over the place. before the break. That's got to have changed, and we barely ever scored from a set piece either. So there's all these little things that we've got to marry up, and that we've got to start getting right, because the games will run out, and in 6 weeks' time we'll be sitting here upset because we've gone down.
Yeah, I can see that happening as equally as us staying up. Yeah. Couple of comments. Brett Leader. Tom, you rattled off some names of some good players. We just need them to be playing well. I think echoes what you say. Mark Jarobi, one of our American friends, and part of the global Villa family. That's what's cool about doing this, isn't it? That we can.
Yeah, it's great.
Bring people in from all over the world. Mark Jarobi, what are your thoughts on Danny Drinkwater? Rumours circulating he's come back in great shape with a different attitude. Villa are playing a decent piece of his wages. Does Dino use him out of the gate? What do you reckon?
The pictures I saw of him, he looked in better condition than he did when he arrived, which you would obviously expect. It looks like he's utilised lockdown in the opposite way to me and you, and that he's got himself going, got himself physically right, which is what you need from a Premier League footballer. Yeah. The break's done him a favour because of what happened with Hotter before it went down. That break has come at the best time possible for Danny Drinkwater, because his future was really up in the air, and you kind of feel like that's all been brushed under the carpet a little bit now because of the time factor. As I said earlier, bringing him in to replace John McGinn for me, it's not going to work, because he's a completely different player to John McGinn. But he does offer positive things, and he's a good footballer when his head's right and when he's at it. The guy just hasn't been at it for the last few years, through a combination of off-the-field issues and a combination of probably making the wrong transfer, which I think so many footballers do.
Yeah,
he's kind of at a last chance saloon, isn't he? Now, Danny Drinkwater, if this last 10 games doesn't go well for him, I think his time at the top level is probably in trouble. So he's got everything to gain and probably a lot to lose as well here for Drinkwater. So it's which way he turns.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I haven't seen, obviously none of us have seen him in training, but there are positive reports coming out. I mean, when he first started playing for Villa, he looked like, I cycle to work now, and it's 14 kilometres each way. So it's not bad going, a little bit of hills, but I am dead when I get back. I am sweaty, I'm a mess, I can barely stand up. That's how Danny Drinkwater looked after about 60 minutes into his debut. And I mean,
60's been very kind.
Yeah, that's true. But supposedly he's a different player. Like you say, he's not a John McGinn. He's a Danny Drinkwater, isn't he? Yeah. And whether that fits into what we do, particularly with now that we have McGinn as an option back, I'm not sure. I don't know whether he'll get his chance, but I think 10 games in very quick succession, you'd expect to see some of Danny Drinkwater, even if he doesn't start tomorrow.
I mean, if being honest, if I was to pick what I think our best 11 is, he wouldn't be in my best 11, but then he could start on Wednesday night, and I'm watching him and he'd be a completely different player. And I suddenly sit there and think, yeah, this guy gets into our best 11. I do think having a pop at him for his first few games, like me and you have actually both done, it's a bit unfair, really, isn't it? Because he didn't pick himself. He clearly was not fit. So I think the only way to get him fit, to be fair to the coaching staff, was to play him. But he's never going to hit the ground running in that condition. It was clear for everyone to see that he wasn't in the right condition to play Premier League football. Now, I don't know whether any of our players were in Premier League condition to play Man City that day, but he got found out more than others against a very good side. He looks fit, as I say, and he's not a bad player. He's won the Premier League with Leicester, albeit a while ago. Now he's played for England. You know, you're not a bad footballer if you play games for those kind of teams. Chelsea wouldn't have signed him unless they thought he was a good player. There's something there to offer. Villa and him just need to unlock it.
Yeah, I mean, on the other side of that, you can be a good player and then go off the rails for a number of reasons. And hopefully, you know, that's not the Danny Drinkwater that we're going to see for the last 10 games. There's every chance there could be, because the Danny Drinkwater we've seen so far hasn't been to Premier League standard. I would say that's fair. I don't know what the majority think, but he wasn't fit when he arrived, and maybe he is now. And hopefully, like you say, he's got that motivation back. He wants to play, and we see the best of him. That's all we can hope for. I should shout out Ian Walker. Call out for the Dutch Villains, please. The Dutch Villains are with us tonight as well, so that's great. Just wanted to grab that before it disappeared off my roll, because we're getting so many comments.
Just what I was going to say was, you know what, I absolutely haven't missed one bit. Logging onto social media when the team's announced and just seeing the absolute meltdown. I think just tomorrow when the team's announced, just everyone please, let's see what happens. You haven't seen anyone play for how many weeks it's been. We'd have absolutely no idea what condition people are in, how they've been performing in training. I've not missed those meltdowns at all, so I'm just hoping it's all quite calm before the game, but I fear it may not be.
Do you, obviously, almost every home game you're sitting in your seat. Do you have any planned kind of rituals that you might kind of carry on, but on your sofa instead? Obviously, you're not going to watch with your dad, but I don't know if you'll ring him up at half time and have a chat like you might do.
Yeah, probably.
That's nice.
Yeah, I'll probably speak to him at half time, and I won't be able to speak to him straight after the game because we'll obviously be logging on and doing the post match pint. But good plug there. Worked that in seamlessly. Thank you. I don't know, to be honest. It's a 6 o'clock kickoff, so you finish work and literally the game starts straight away. So that's going to be weird. Just the whole experience. I really don't know what to expect. As I say, obviously over the years I've missed the odd game at home, but if I'm missing it, it's usually because I can't go for some reason. To be missing it and I'm still going to be sat there watching Villa play at Villa Park, that is just so unusual to me and many others. It's just going to feel so strange. One rule I am going to have, because when I watch football on TV, quite bad with being on my phone, and then I miss things that happen. Not so much with Villa, to be fair, when I'm watching away games usually and when Villa are on, but getting rid of the phone during the game. I'm just going to concentrate on the football. I've missed the football, so let's concentrate fully.
Well, how are you going to write your notes down as the game progresses?
I mean, you know me, Tom. The notes are always up here. You've got how many pages you got today?
Only two today.
Only two. That's the light touch for the first one back. I thought you might have been panicking a little bit for a live and first one back after a while.
I did add some in pen after I printed it out already.
Or panic! Look at panic stations in the lid up there.
We should say for tomorrow night, for season ticket holders, obviously who can't go to the game live, season ticket holders have been given 2 Now TV passes to watch the games on Sky Sports, and there are a lot of people on Twitter and other social media channels who are giving their Now TV passes away. So if you don't have Sky and want to try and get hold of them, have a little search on Twitter, because there's a lot of people giving their tickets away, and you may not have to miss out. Yeah,
I've given mine away to a Villa fan that I know who doesn't have Sky, and he was very, very grateful, and I'm happy to help him out. And I've seen, to be fair, this is where the Villa fans are really good. I've seen loads of Villa fans offering their codes out, people that have already got Sky, and it's great to see. And just whatever anyone says, whatever happens, deep down, we are a family club, and we're top draw fan base.
Well, on that note, I should highlight the comment from Billy, who says, "Has Dan Bardell dyed his hair since he was on Sky News today, looking less grey?" Lol.
I was going to say, if I have dyed it, I've dyed it grey. It's still there. I need it. Missing getting a haircut and a fade desperately. I mean, for you, I mean, you've obviously clearly not had it cut since lockdown at all.
I'm thinking about the old Jack Grealish look. I might thin it out. I think I'm probably not too far away from a man bun here, you know?
Yeah, he's more a Matt Target for me. If I could compare your hair to any Villa players' lockdown hair, he's more of a Matt Target going on there than a Jack Grealish. But
if I tried, and obviously I wouldn't try, but if I went to a professional barber, I might be able to thin it out so much. No, it would look terrible. Can you imagine?
Do you think, right, can we make a deal? If Jack scores tomorrow night, can you borrow a hair bobble from your wife and pull the hair back and have it in like the Jack Grealish ponytail that he's been sporting if Jack Grealish scores tomorrow night?
I will. All right, I'll make that deal if I can. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll tell you what I'll do for you, because I probably won't be able to do it on my own. I'll try and do it live. And
don't put people through that. It's like completely unnecessary. It's completely unnecessary.
Oh dear! It didn't take long for us to be derailed. All right, I'll try and man bun it tomorrow if Jack Grealish gets on the score sheet.
I have to keep remembering when we're going off on tangents and stuff that we're actually associated with a brand here, and that it's not just me and you doing what we like on the Villa View. There needs to be a level of professionalism at times.
Yeah, absolutely. Luke 1977 would not. Well, let's see. It might look good. The old man bun might look good.
Yeah, with your Luke jumper.
We shall see. We shall see. One more thing I wanted to touch on for tomorrow's game, Dan. The Black Lives Matter protests and the kind of statements have been a massive thing all over the world. Obviously, starting in the US and kind of been circulated around the world. And Premier League has kind of come out in support, and they're going to have Black Lives Matter on the back of shirts. They're also going to support the NHS as well. I don't want to touch on it too much because I know it's a very divisive issue, but, you know, Tyrone Mings was at a rally in Birmingham. Dean Smith has come out and supported Mings and the Premier League in these statements. Just wanted to get your thoughts quickly, what you think, whether you think Villa will do any more, whether they'll take a knee. What's your kind of thoughts on it all?
I think that anything that anyone can do that can draw light on what is a terrible situation in the world and something that I cannot believe has been eradicated now is a positive thing. When Tyrone Mings did what he did, I tweeted fully backing it, and I actually lost followers off the back of it, which I couldn't believe. But that's a completely different story. I'm fully behind it because I think it's so important, and I think the world is full of ugly and evil at the moment, and for me, that's somewhere near the top. It's absolutely horrific, and anything that I think Premier League and football can do to draw attention to it and perhaps work to change someone who may have views that I don't agree with mine, I think that's a massive thing. I think it's obviously a society problem, but there is still massive problems in football as well. And on a separate note, you see what Marcus Rashford's done in the world today, and the way he's changing things. Footballers have this massive platform now, and football in general has a massive platform. And I think anything that footballers and football can do that does anything to get rid of what is a horrid problem and pure evil, in my opinion, I'm fully behind it.
Yeah, I was going to mention Marcus Rashford as well. The way that he's kind of stepped up, and I mean, you look at there's quite a lot of kind of praise for Marcus Rashford, rightly so, for more than just today. He's doing loads throughout this situation, and he really shows the good side of football. And Mings as well, he stands up for what he believes in, and I think it just proves that the footballers are role models. Whatever you believe in this situation, I think it does show the power that players have and football has as a whole, and I think that's really good and to be commended.
Yeah, I agree.
Good stuff. Before we go, I wanted to mention the Aston Villa Women's Football Club, promoted as champions up to the Women's Super League, unbeaten, unbelievable season from the women. Just a fantastic campaign from Gemma Davis and the team. It's a bit of a shame that they'll win and be robbed of that kind of glory moment, I suppose. But the main thing is that it's not like the Women's Football League have cancelled the league or anything like that. Yeah. They have to do it all again. They're going to go up. They've also announced that they'll be playing at Walsall next season, 11,000 stadium. So just good news keeps on rolling for AVWFC. Is that right? Yeah.
It's. I mean, I know you've had some problems with hashtags before, so it's good that you got that one. You got that one out. I think it's brilliant. I was actually really concerned that they might just cancel it in the whole season's work. I mean, what Gemma Davis has done there is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, I speak to Emma Follis and Amy West. I spoke to them to congratulate them when it all got announced, and I understand that the whole team managed to get together on a Zoom call and they had a pretty lively time, which is great to hear. But they fully deserve it, and this is another reason why the men's team staying up is so important, because going down could hinder investment in the women's team, and I don't want that. I really think Villa are going to make a good go next season, the Villa women, and have a massive the It's great for them to be in the highest tier of women's football now, so it's a massive thing, and you just want the men and the women to both be doing well, because the financials at the football club rely on the men staying up, so we need that. But Gemma Davis has done a terrific job, and all the players there. I mean, it reminded me a little bit of when the men went up last season, because a fair few players have actually ended up being released off the back of it. I think Eni Aluko is the sporting director at the Villa Women now, has got big plans, and I think you'll see some big activity. I think you'll see some big signings, and I just really hope that next season everyone that can get to the games and get behind them. I'm certainly planning to go to some games if we can, when we're allowed fans in the grounds again. And it's just a massive thing, and it's great to see them doing well.
Yeah, 8 players have been released, including Jade Richards, Melissa Johnson, Kerry Welsh. There's some big players there.
Long serving as well, yeah.
And I mean, Jade Richards, for one, was not only playing, but she was also part of the coaching setup of the kind of the younger women's teams and the girls' teams. And, that, again, it kind of comes back to that kind of family club feel. To lose those personalities, I mean, I'm not going to pretend that I know a great deal about the women's situation, but hopefully Gemma Davis and Eni Aluko and the whole team there have a good plan and can bring in these top quality players and keep the Villa ladies in the top division for a few years to come.
Yeah, it's such a cohesive unit as well. Last season, you could really tell on social media and stuff how together the side was, and that's the risk when people leave. It can upset the dressing room a little bit. You just hope that hasn't happened. I mean, the men, as I say, we got some big characters in the dressing room over the summer, and personally for me, they're people I think we might have been able to make use of in some ways in difficult moments. I mean, was the business that we did in the summer all necessary? I guess if we stay up, it doesn't matter. But if we don't, I think there's certain things that need to be looked at with the transfer business, because at the moment, if we talked about bringing in players that were young and hungry and players that were going to go up in value, it's too soon to judge fully. But I don't think many of the players that we signed with that ambition in the summer have gone up in value. Just me being honest.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, I think that the club should reevaluate all of its business every year. You shouldn't exactly. You shouldn't review just because things have gone wrong. You should look at the successes as well, and hopefully, if we stay up, that review will still happen. Christian Purslow isn't CEO for nothing, and all of that will have to be looked at. And there's a potential that some of these guys that come in, like you say, needed that bedding in time, and will hopefully kind of increase in value from tomorrow onwards, ideally. Hopefully. But it might take a season, and if we go down, it just rattles the kind of strategy, doesn't it? And it affects the whole club, and it's going to be a massive. I hate to say the word rebuild, but if we go down again, if we go back down again, then it will be a rebuild again.
We just got to be positive at this point. Obviously, we haven't seen what's going to happen in the next few weeks. The next few weeks are absolutely massive. Even just sitting here and talking for the last 45 minutes or so with you, it's probably made me more nervous than I was about tomorrow. It's just huge, isn't it? As I've said many times, even tonight, it's just everything's just so unique, so up in the air. I just hope that by this time tomorrow night, we're happy.
I should finish the proper part of the show then with this question from PSK. What shirt is everyone wearing tomorrow? I will be rocking the 90-91 Umbro Mitre Copiers home shirt. What about you, Dan? What are you wearing?
I mean, lockdown has not been kind to the wallet at all. As you know, there was a period of activity over about probably a month or two where I just completely lost it with buying football shirts. I was even buying like international shirts associated with Villa players. I had complete head loss at one point in lockdown. So I've certainly got a lot to choose from. I'll weigh up the combinations tomorrow, and I'll get back to people on social media and work out what I'm going to wear.
Tom Cowley's on message. Got to be the lucky Luke Roper shirt for me. I guess I'll agree at this stage as well. I'm thinking actually about rocking the Petrov signed shirt that I have. That brings back good memories and hopefully some good luck tomorrow.
Yeah, that's the thing about shirt collecting. You can look at all the times that you had in those shirts, and hopefully I'll be looking back at this season's keep at the end of all this and talking about the great escape.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we have been on the Luke Live Lounge tonight, and we're partnered with Luke 1977. And as part of that, we not only have a discount code, but we have a competition as well, which is great. So if you do want to purchase anything from the Luke 1977 collection, you can use our discount code, which is TVV20, the Villa View 20, TVV20. I think it's in the. Thanks. I think it's in the bio, and we'll put it out on social as well. And just make sure you have it. you know, if you do want to buy anything from Luke Roadbutt and you use that code, that supports us as well, and obviously helps the good guys at Luke 1977 as well. The only thing that you can't get in that is the Dapper Villain range, and that is because 30% of all proceeds on Dapper Villain range go to the University Hospitals Birmingham charity, which is an amazing cause, and one we're fully behind. So with that, we have a competition. Each week we're going to be giving away a part of the Dapper Villain range to one of our kind of followers. And this week, Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, we're going to focus on Instagram. So this is what you can win: the Big Slim Ron short-sleeved tee inspired by the AVFC round badge. You can get it in a variety of colours as well, and as you can see there on the bottom, the different hospitals that are supported through this range. So I mean, even if you don't win, it's a very worthwhile collection to invest in anyway. So the competition is this: all you need to do is follow the Villa View and Luke 1977 on Instagram. You have up until Tuesday to do it, because we'll reveal the winner on next week's Luke Live Lounge. I know I get it wrong at some point.
Yeah, we'll do a post advertising the competition, and if you just comment below that you'd like a chance of winning, then we'll draw it from that. And as Tom says, you'll have to be following Luke on Instagram and also the Villa View. If you fancy following Tom Julian and Dan Bardell as well, that's always a cheeky bonus.
I mean, if you want to follow me, that's great for my ego, but I post very rarely on Instagram. I always say I'll try and post more, and then I just don't. I don't know, too busy like doing things. I forget to take my camera out. I'm just not that guy.
Nice.
Yeah, okay, good. So this has been the Luke Live Lounge. It's been, I think so far, mostly successful. We had one little dropout. You reckon? Yeah,
the dropout was a bit of heart in mouth moment, really, wasn't it? And then the switch of sides kind of felt like a pointless substitution that a football manager would make. So that probably fits in with the football coming back as well. But no, it's been good, bar that brief hitch, which I must credit Adam and John for getting us back on very, very quickly. I think it's good, and hopefully people will join us tomorrow night for the post-match point. We've got a few fans lined up to come on after the game, and from then on, when we know it all works, we'll be putting things out on social to give you your chance to come on and discuss the game with us straight after kickoff. And I think that does us, doesn't it, Tom? It's been good. It's been great. We're trying something different, as we said earlier. It's been brilliant to have some interactions through. We're being brave. We're trying to do it live. We want to do something different. We want to do something unique, and hopefully you think that's worked, and hopefully we've got some kind comments at the end of it, and you'll all tune in again.
Yeah, it's lovely again to see Matt Rudd's just commented, cheers from South Africa. We've seen people from the US, from Holland, from all over the place kind of tuning in. So whether you live in Birmingham or Brazil, it's really nice to have you guys, and hopefully you can join us tomorrow night for the post-match pint. I reckon we'll aim to be on, kind of 5-10 minutes after kickoff. Just check all the technicals go, and then we'll log on. So you can come on here. There should be a holding page, and we'll get going as soon as we're good to go. But it's been real fun talking to you, Dan. Having the comments back. Sydney, Brad Leader from Sydney, of course. So let's do it all again tomorrow night for another one. Hopefully we're talking about a win. But until then, up the Villa.
Up the Villa. Thank you for watching.